The world's fastest train can get you from Shanghai to Beijing in just 1 hour and 20 minutes. The world's fastest plane takes about the same time to fly the same route. But in just over a decade, China will open the world's first hyperloop and their next-generation high-speed rail network, which will cut that travel time down to just 20 minutes. And once you add in their plans for EV highways and autonomous buses, China is on track to create the fastest transportation network on Earth. So let's take a deep dive into China's ambitious plan. Welcome to my channel. China has already built the fastest train on Earth. Their new high-speed rail lines are blazing fast, energy efficient, and fully connected with big cities all across the country. And now China is building the infrastructure for even faster hyperloop trains that will connect all of their major cities within just 20 minutes. With this crazy new transportation system, China will bring their regional economies closer together. And in the process, they'll break new technological barriers that will change how people think about transportation around the world. So let's see how they're going to do it. There are basically three main areas of development in China's plan. First, they have their Hyperloop One system, which will connect major cities directly with vacuum-sealed tunnels. Second, they have their new generation of high-speed rail, which will be fully automated and run on green energy. And third, there's an expansion of EV charging stations, autonomous driving technology, and smart logistics systems, which will form a fully connected web of transportation options throughout the country. Hyperloops were invented by Elon Musk back in 2013, and the basic idea is pretty simple. You take two really long tubes, put a train in the middle, and shoot it through at insane speeds. The reason why we haven't seen these before is because of the engineering challenges involved. We've never built anything like this before, but China seems eager to take on the challenge. According to reports from late 2021, China will build the world's first commercial hyperloop line connecting the major cities of Qingdao and Tianjin. The distance between these two cities is about 110 kilometers, which means if the hyperloop runs at full speed, it would only take about 20 minutes to get from one city to the other. That's almost as fast as a bullet train, and the concept art looks straight out of science fiction. Imagine riding in a pod with your friends and family and suddenly shooting off like a rocket into a wormhole. That's what hyperloops are like. But aside from being fun, it's also super cheap. In fact, a hyperloop is cheaper than any other mode of transportation that moves large numbers of people over medium distances. A plane is too expensive for short-haul routes. A high-speed train is too slow. A car takes up too much space and consumes too many resources. But a hyperloop is just right. It's fast enough to compete with air travel, but cheap enough to be competitive with road transportation. And it also reduces congestion, noise pollution, and carbon emissions, which makes it very environmentally friendly. There's still a lot of unknowns when it comes to hyperloops. Nobody has ever built one before, so we don't know how well it's actually going to work. But China is known for taking huge risks, and this is no exception. The government has given the green light for a series of Hyperloop test tracks, and the goal is to have a fully functional transportation network by 2030. But while the Hyperloop is a futuristic addition to China's transportation network, their biggest impact will come from their next generation of high-speed rail. China's high-speed rail network is the largest in the world, and they continue to expand it every year. Over the past decade, Chinese high-speed rail has transformed the country by bringing big cities closer together. And now China is planning to take that to a whole new level. Starting in 2022, Chinese scientists began testing a new high-speed train that uses 80% less energy than traditional models. And just recently, they announced plans to launch fully driverless high-speed rail networks by 2025. The Chinese high-speed rail network is famous for being fast, efficient, and safe. And these upgrades will only make it better. Once fully automated, the Chinese high-speed rail will be the backbone of the transportation network and will connect every major city in the country. The fastest way to get around a city, however, is not by train, bus, or even hyperloop. It's by bike. Okay, fine. Maybe it's by skateboard. In China, bikes and skateboards are becoming a common sight on the streets, and China is leading the way in developing smart bike lanes that will connect to the rest of the transportation network. For example, in the city of Chongqing, China, they built the world's longest elevated bike lane, which is 86 kilometers long. It's so cool. If you want to learn more about how China is integrating bikes into their transportation network, I made a whole video about it, which I'll link at the end. But basically, they're making it easier and safer for people to use bikes instead of cars. And that's a win-win for everyone. Cleaner air, healthier citizens, and less traffic. But having a bunch of different modes of transportation is great, but unless the roads are good, it doesn't matter. No matter how fast your car is, if you're stuck in traffic, you're not gonna get anywhere fast. That's why China is also investing heavily in smart highway infrastructure. This includes things like automatic toll collection, smart traffic lights, and self-driving cars. All of these are relatively mature technologies, but China is working hard to integrate them into one seamless transportation experience. And this brings us to the most exciting part of the network, EV highways. These are special highways where electric vehicles can drive non-stop for hundreds of kilometers without having to recharge. To make this possible, China is installing wireless charging pads along the highway that will keep the car charged while it is moving. This technology is still in the testing phase, but once it's up and running, it will dramatically reduce the time it takes to drive long distances. And combined with the other upgrades, this will make China's highways the most advanced in the world. Now, what about getting around town? As we've seen, China is doing a lot to improve public transportation, but sometimes you just want to drive yourself. And that's where autonomous vehicles come in. Self-driving cars are probably the most controversial innovation in China because there is a lot of fear surrounding the technology. But despite the fear, China is moving full steam ahead on developing self-driving cars, and they are already testing driverless taxis in major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. So far, ride-hailing services like Uber and Didi have been slow to adopt the technology, but China's government is pushing them to move faster. And that is probably for the best because self-driving cars have the potential to save thousands of lives every year. The majority of car accidents are caused by human error, and autonomous vehicles could reduce that by up to 90%. Plus, self-driving cars could also make our cities more efficient. They could drive faster, take sharper turns, and park in smaller spaces, which would free up a lot of valuable land. Not only that, but autonomous vehicles could help solve China's big data problem. Basically, self-driving cars collect a ton of data about our cities, and this data can be used to improve everything from traffic management to public safety. So autonomous vehicles aren't just a cool new technology, they could be a game changer for China. So there you have it, a glimpse into China's plan for the fastest transportation network on Earth. What do you think? Is it too ambitious, just right, or totally impossible? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about China's transportation network, I highly recommend checking out this video on how China is building smart bike lanes that connect to their high-speed rail. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.